For an AI or a robot to do a tattoo, I really don't see it being any less than like 30 years. I saw a lot of pushback from the tattoo industry. You know, they worry that like, you know, the AI is going to take their job. If you're not going to be ahead of the curve and doing things that are innovative, you're just going to be left behind.
How did you get dropped into tattooing? Like, how did that start for you?
My original passion, honestly, is video games. I actually wasn't, I mean, I like tattoos, but I've been enjoying, you know, video games and anime and like comics and stuff ever since I could pick up a pencil. Like I remember when I was 5, 6, 7 years old, I was just in grade school doing portraits. Like I had a natural talent for art. You know, it came very easy for me. Obviously, I got better over time as I practiced, but I just naturally had a gift when I was like younger. And I had a passion. I've always had a passion for video games. I don't know why. I think, you know, when I grew up, we had, you know, came from, you know, poor family and you know, a broken home and things like that. There was a lot of fighting going on with my parents, and you know, like it wasn't a good environment. We didn't have that great relationship, and I think that me and my brother just kind of gravitated to like those TV shows and those video games that kind of sucked us into a different world, you know. And for one of those things was like Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, Harry Potter. I got into all these things that just made me feel like my happy place, you know, because you know, we just didn't really have a good childhood growing up, and you know, like there was just a lot of stress and you know, it just wasn't good. There was, you know, a lot of fighting and all that stuff. It just was kind of like broken family vibes, you know? So
I feel you, man. I didn't meet my biological dad until I was like 13.
Wow.
So like my childhood was a little bit traumatic in that sense.
Yeah.
But I had a stepdad that raised me. Like he's my dad, you know, like I consider him my dad. So I was lucky to have that.
Yeah.
But because I grew up in Cuba, for me, like I wanted to escape where I was.
Right.
Although I had a good childhood, it was really
That's great.
rough.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
We had no shoes, like no food.
Right.
Like my mom was like doing her best, but it was really difficult.
Right.
And then movies like Hollywood and America, that was like the escape.
Yeah.
And I was obsessed with video games. So like, what video games were your favorite?
I mean, I grew up on the Nintendo 64 and the Super Nintendo. I mean, you know, Sonic, Mario, Super Mario, you know, like Mario Brothers, and then, you know, Donkey Kong, and then all the way up into like, you know, obviously like the Pokemon stuff, and just all the 64 games too that were just really, really popular, like Tony Hawk Pro Skater. And then obviously once the Xbox and all this, I mean, I've been gaming ever since video games came out, like since I was a kid. So all across the board, you know, from, you know, Street Fighter and like fighting games to shooters to just, you know, like Halo and all that stuff. I mean, and then even PC games. I mean, everything across the board. I think it was a combination of being an artist and having that artist creativity, that brain, that is that creative brain, and then also having the childhood that I had just kind of like suck me in even more. And then when I would get sucked in, I sort of like would appreciate the creativity of the game more. Like I think that's why a lot of that stuff inspires me now, is because I'll play video games and I'll just kind of get sucked into the art and just be like, man, like it's crazy like that people would create something like this. Like I'll play, you know, games like, you know, some of these crazy games like Skyrim and all these games that just require so much detail and creativity and years to design. I'm just like, wow, like people really put years of effort, like multiple teams into games that change people's lives, you know? I tell people it's kind of like, it's very different from tattooing, because when I'm tattooing, I'm changing one person's life, you know, like the person who's coming and getting a tattoo, whether it's a portrait of their dad or someone who passed away or a family member or a cat or a pet. It's like I'm changing that one person's life in a very dramatic way, but I'm not affecting really anyone else. I mean, there's other people on Instagram who appreciate the tattoo, but that one person, like I've had people, they cry. It happens all the time. Like they're just like, wow, my pet passed away or my father passed away. Or I mean, I've seen like grown men literally crying. But when you have a video game, something like a video game or an anime, something like Dragon Ball Z or Pokemon, it's like the creators of that series, they don't know who you are on the other side of that screen. They probably don't impact your life the way a tattoo does, but they impact millions of people's lives in a very small way. Like think about you or kids or your brother or friends, and it's like, imagine like people who were like when you watch Dragon Ball Z and then you're inspired, you're like, man, I want to work out and be like Goku, or you're like, I want to just be like a a stronger person, or it kind of gives you that inner strength, you know. Or when I would watch Pokemon and be like, you know, like, oh, I wish this was real so I could, you know, battle other people and things like that. It's like, in a small way, it inspires, and it basically moves millions of people, but you don't get to see them. So it's a completely other side of the spectrum from tattooing. From tattooing, I'm like next to you, like how close I am to you right now, and I'm impacting your life for the rest of your life in a very dramatic way. But on something like that, it's like, you know, the creators don't even know who I am or who you are or anybody. They just create it, and then there's millions of people on the other side of the screen that are impacted in a small way. But it's like, you know, mass adoption. It just impacts millions and millions of people and changes a generation. You know, think about our generation, how Dragon Ball Z or Pokemon or Harry Potter, like, it moved an entire culture, you know? So it's pretty crazy to think about how art in different ways inspires and moves people in different ways too, you know, depending on what it is.
For sure. I mean, Harry Potter completely changed, in a way, the course of my life, because the film that I made, it was the combination of Harry Potter with tattoos.
Wow.
And like,
and I have a whole Harry Potter sleeve, so it's Harry Potter and tattoos.
Okay, so show me that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's all book art. Yeah, it's all the book art. So I have the entire sleeve, you know. I mean, it's just, yeah, I grew up on Harry Potter, so I wanted to dedicate my arm to it.
That is so freaking cool, dude.
Yeah.
I made a whole movie about it. I spent 2 years, dude,
That's dope.
Like going filming different artists. We traveled. We came California, Tennessee. I had this girl from Australia. We went to Cuba, and it was about 70 artists from all over the world came to Chattanooga to do a tattoo convention about Harry Potter.
Wow.
Only
Harry Potter. That's pretty dope.
Potter.
Yeah.
My tattoo documentary, Literary Ink, is streaming now on all platforms. If you love stories, documentaries, and especially if you love tattoos and Harry Potter, this movie is just for you. Check out Literary Ink, streaming now on all major platforms.
If it wasn't for Harry Potter, and that, like, I wouldn't have made that movie. And like, it was my first feature-length like movie, got picked up. It's on Apple TV. Like, it's something that I'm gonna be so proud forever. And like you said, like a movie can definitely change someone's life. But to me, I have the same respect for tattoos, because to me it is crazy that you are literally drawing on someone's skin and that'll be there forever.
It's pretty crazy.
And they are saying, yes, do that to me. I want you to change my physiology. I want you to change my body.
It's crazy when people ask me to sign. I've probably done 100 signatures on tattoos. It's nuts. I did one like 2 weeks ago. You know, it's pretty crazy because like, I don't know. I mean, it's on you for the rest of your life. You know, I mean, I get, you know, like it's signing, but it's sign of a, you know, for me,
I think that's really cool. Like, if I'm gonna get a tattoo from you and you're gonna do like an amazing piece, I will be okay with that.
That's
like,
cool.
I don't have any tattoos, and I was telling you off camera, if I ever got a tattoo, it would have to be like a full bodysuit, a full back piece. Like, I would have to say, okay, I'm gonna go all in and get this for real. I would want the artist to sign it too.
That's cool.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's cool.
What other crazy stuff have people come and ask you to do?
I mean, I've had some crazy bad stories. You know, I always tell people, it's like, people are always like, what's the worst thing that's ever happened to you? You know, I've had a few people pass out. I had one girl that threw up on herself. It's all people getting their first tattoo at 18. It's always like they're scared and they scared themselves. They come get the tattoo. They haven't eaten. There's like, you know, they're just nervous. And then, you know, they just, you know, had a couple pass out. And one girl literally threw up on herself. We had to stop mid-tattoo and clean up. This was like years and years ago, but, you know, but that, yeah. So, I mean, it's been a wild ride, man. I mean, I've gone on, you know, a tour, and actually, last month I flew on a PJ and did a tattoo for the first time on a private jet. That was pretty cool.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Did you make a video of that?
I have some video. I'm gonna post it on Instagram. I have a ton of photos. I have to go through all of them and edit. I haven't even edited them yet, but yeah. So that was like one of my dreams. I mean, I was just like, how cool would that be? Everyone's like, you know, like, you should tattoo on a PJ, but so
maybe that's a series. You need to do a series of like tattooing on private jets, tattooing on like hot air balloons, tattooing on a boat.
Yeah, that was pretty cool though. I mean, I'd never been on it was my first time on a private jet, and I tattooed on there, so you know, that was really cool.
Who was the tattoo for, if you can talk about it?
Yeah, it was no one famous, but it was just like you know, some good friends of mine, you know, Matt Morgan and Chase Hero, just these guys who are just in business and finance. One of them's actually my friend Matt. I did his whole back. It's on my Instagram. I did his sleeves. He's like one of my business mentors. But yeah, so they were flying back. They were just like, like, yo, like, you want to come with us and tattoo on the jet? And I was like, yeah. So I just went back, flew back with them to Miami and just tattooed on the jet. It was actually pretty sick. You know, just did some little small ones, but just the whole experience was pretty sick, you know?
That's pretty
The turbulence wasn't too bad. It was pretty cool. But yeah, man, it's been, you know, I've had a lot of cool stuff
That's
going on.
awesome, dude. So, like, I know I saw on your Instagram that you're getting into business and entrepreneurship and investing, that kind of stuff. Like, tell me about that. Like, what have you learned? What made you like go more into the business side after being an artist?
So I've actually been in the business side for actually probably 4 to 5 years. I kind of keep it more low key because my brand is the tattooing. So I didn't really feel the need to like post about everything that I'm working on, you know, and I like to keep the brand. People are here for the tattoos, but I've been kind of behind the scenes working on stuff for a while. You know, I've invested in several companies. I have a supplement company I invested in. And then I've started some other projects with my brothers and just kind of help them get things, you know, started up. But, I mean, right now I'm heavily focused on just expanding the shop. So we're going to be getting our new location in a Beverly area, Hollywood area. So we're going a lot larger with the shop. And obviously that requires a lot, you know, there's a lot that goes with that, renovations and just tons of stuff. And then our plan is to expand into other cities afterwards too. So we're going to have a lot of really cool stuff that we're doing. I mean, this is really just the beginning, you know, when a lot of people look at me and they're like, oh man, you made it, you know, you have like your own shop and you got, you know, these millions of followers, but it's like my goals. And this is something that I've learned from being around people who are super successful. It's like, it's crazy because it's like your goals change based around who you're around, you know. Like if you're the biggest, you know, most successful person in your group, it really puts like a ceiling on your goals. But if you like, I started hanging around people who were worth like 50 million, 100 million, you know, $500 million, and just seeing like the things that they were doing, and you know, obviously the celebrities that I hang out with. But once you start seeing people like in you know, real successful business people, my vision and my goal, just like the ceiling just went way higher, because it's like everything that I've accomplished, it's like to the average person, they look at that and they're like, oh, you made it. But to me, it's like, man, there's still so much more to accomplish. And that's what I want to do. I want, like, why stop? You know, why not do something that, like, for me, it's all about doing something that hasn't been done before. You know, I don't want to just stop at a shop, you know, like I'm trying to build like a global brand. I want to have, you know, the brand in cities all around the world, and just, you know, create something that's going to be remembered, you know, and just kind of really take the goals and the targets way higher, you know. And that all comes from being around people who can lift you up and inspire you, you know. That's why your circle is really important. And when I moved from being around certain people and changed the circle in the friend group and the people I was around with, and started really getting into people in the finance space and business, completely just opened my eyes in a whole new way.
Yeah, I feel you. I kind of experienced the same thing in the last 2-3 years. I've been working under Tom and Lisa Bilyeu. They started Quest Nutrition, sold it for $1 billion. Now they started a media empire. And you're right, like those people think about life goals, purpose, and process in a complete different way. So I love that you're talking about that, and I think people need inspiration, but I think we have enough of that online. I think people need a little bit more education on what does that actually means. So when you hear that and, okay, I have the big goal, the next big thing, you're trying to create a global brand, which I love. What are some of the steps and strategy when you think about that for the next 5 years? How are you going to execute that? And something that maybe someone, let's think of like a young artist, he did pretty well, or he's thinking about going into business in whatever area. What are a couple of things you would tell them to think about when you're about to start a new venture and something that is stretching from what you know? What should they think about?
I think, you know, social media, it's you know, it's really crazy right now because there's just so much bad material, and just like, I feel like everything's fake. Almost everything, 99% everything's fake. Yeah, when there's you know, there's a lot of, you know, inspiration, but there's a lot of people who just, you know, they say stuff just to get the views, you know, like the clicks and things like that. So it's just like what you were saying. A lot of people are inspiring, but there's not a lot of real information out there. You know, people will tell you, like, they'll try to motivate you and tell you things like that, but with a lot of the motivation, a lot of the people, they're not, they don't have as much money as they, try to act like they have. Everyone's trying to live this like fake lifestyle. For me, it's all about authenticity. And I think that's what really is the key to success. All these people that, try to, sell courses and all this crazy stuff and try to, be these like, gurus and all this stuff. I don't really pay too much attention to that because I've noticed from being around real people with money that
they don't do any of that.
Yeah, it's so easy you can rent a Lambo, and act like you have $1 million and have no money in your bank account, which is what a lot of people, especially in these big cities like LA and Miami and New York, they do, So I think that it's good for people to go online and be inspired. But a really good advice I would give is don't be distracted by the noise. Like when you go on social media, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of people trying to flex and have money and this, and everyone's trying to live this larger than life type of lifestyle. For me, it's always about being authentic and not being distracted by the noise and what everyone else is doing. I think if you try to copy other people too much and you try to be like someone else, you can get a little bit of success or you can boost your career a little bit, but you'll never really get like the real far and the real success that you want by imitating and copying other people. For me, it's always been about being focused, not looking too much left or right and trying to see what everyone else is doing. Just staying focused and being authentic. Like what makes my brand me, like our brand, in my opinion, we have one of the best tattoo brands in the world. And it's so different than everybody because everyone, in my opinion, a lot of these shops, they try to copy each other. You see a lot of shops that just, it's like they change a little something, but they almost look like they're trying to copy every shop's the same. It's like, there's no brand identity. Like what sets everybody apart? Like for me, it's like when you see about the California dream, the California dream, it's about the customer service. We're real, we're authentic. Who the artists are. It's about the customer service and just how we treat everybody, the experience, and that to me is the most important. And that's what I think has really carried us really far, is because the people come and they have a really good time and they have a good experience, not just a good tattoo, but the experience is just as important. And being different. Like for me, instead of looking at the hottest trend and saying, okay, we need to hop on this trend. I feel like that's what everyone most people are doing. Most tattooers are doing. Most people who start a business is doing. They look to see like what the trend is and trying to hop really fast. Me, I say, what can we do that's different? What's not being done? Like I'm looking at, an app or doing things that it's like, what are people not doing? Customer service, social media. What are people not doing on social media? And I try to figure out how we can set ourselves apart and make ourselves different. And I think that when you can not be distracted by the noise and say, okay, I'm going to be myself, I'm going to be authentic. And even if it takes you longer and people don't respect you at first or they think you're lame or whatever, it doesn't matter. Just keep putting the time in, be consistent, be dedicated, and you'll be surprised how far you can go when you're real and you're yourself.
Yeah. I think most of the time, it's not even what other people are doing or thinking. It's what we are thinking about ourselves and how we look on social media. Mm-hmm. And dude, like I'm telling you, from someone like I create content, like I work in an environment where we are engineering everything to make it look amazing.
Right.
Like the whole Hollywood glitz and glam, like it's not real.
It's not real.
It's not real.
Yeah.
And this, like you have worked with a lot of people, like all the artists and everything. They don't have that lifestyle that you see on the feed.
Right.
But I think at the same time, people need to learn how to use that.
Of course.
Because like, for example, you are amazing at the way you shoot your videos,
right?
Your angles, like the way you put the music, like your TikToks, your YouTube, everything. If you hadn't done that, you wouldn't be as successful as you are right now. So it's this balance of like, I need to be amazing and pose and like know the game and win at the game so I can win at what I have to do. And at the same time, not let that game that I'm putting out there get a hold of myself and my feelings. And it's very difficult. I have experienced a little bit of it because I'm trying to grow my brand and the podcast and all that. So I get a little bit of like excitement when all the people are saying, oh, this is amazing. And I also get the hype of like with the haters. I get kind of excited about that too. So I can go and argue with people a little bit. I haven't gotten as much of the attention as someone like you has, but I can see how sometimes I'm even getting sidetracked by going and checking on the app to see who commented something so I can reply back, or who is saying that, oh, this interview is really cool, so I can like feel good about the work that I'm doing. So how do you balance that? You have to pay attention to it, but at the same time, you can't be obsessed with it or let it consume you.
I mean, dude, to be honest, I don't have the time to check it. You know, I work 10 to 15 hour days. I have like, you know, 5 different companies that I'm involved in on a daily basis. You know, I mean, we're working on a video game project, and a lot of those people are overseas. So I'm either doing those calls early in the morning or late at night. I have an app that I'm working on, which I don't want to get into too much detail, but basically we're utilizing AI technology to basically change the way that it's going to revolutionize the tattoo industry. So I had, you know, came up with an idea for that, and, you know, we're doing calls and stuff for that. So, I mean, between everything that I'm working on in the shop and everything else, and plus, you know, I'm also networking with celebrities and stuff on a daily basis. Between everything, I'm working 10 to 15 hour days. I couldn't, you know, I don't have time to be worried about what, you know, someone is saying, especially a hater on social media. You know, I mean, I used to, but one thing I realized is like, dude, if you got time to worry about that, you're not busy enough. You know, like if you got time to be on the internet and argue with people, you're not working hard enough. Like you have to be working so hard and so busy that it seems like a waste of time to you to do that. And that seems like a waste of time to me. So I always tell people, like, you know, work more, you know, find something else to do. Like if you have time to sit on your phone and argue with people, you're not working hard enough. Someone's going to pass you, you know. But I used to, when I first started my career, obviously when you kind of just get that boost of, you know, the fame and stuff, you're like excited to hear what people say. But I think I've been in it long enough where that stuff just, I start realizing it, like, it doesn't matter, you know. And anyone who has anything negative to say is just, they're angry with themselves, they're unhappy with themselves, they're disappointed that they haven't been more successful, or, you know, it's like you've never heard someone more successful than you say something negative, because they don't have the time. They don't leave. No one who's more successful has the time to sit on their phone and leave you a bad comment. Yeah. It's true. When someone told me that, it's like, it's true. So it's like, why would you lower yourself to respond or to argue with a hater, you know? Yeah. But it's cool. Let them talk, you know. It's good for the comments. It's good for the algorithm. Now everything's based on activity and algorithm. So if haters are talking, we just let them talk. Like when we posted the anesthesia tattoo.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that, because like when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is so smart. And then in the back of my head, I'm thinking, there's a lot of tattooers who's gonna be like, oh, this is a fake tattoo,
right?
This is not real.
So we, you know, I have a lot of celebrity and wealthy clients. And they've actually been asking about this for a while. They're like, man, wouldn't it be cool to just go under and, you know, go under anesthesia? So it's been something that people have been talking about. And eventually we just said, you know what, like, people are talking about this, let's just do it, you know? So we partnered up with one of the biggest and the top anesthesiologists in Los Angeles. So we have, you know, the best facility, that we're working with the best facility. And you know, we're already talking to some celebrities and some clients about doing it, and we're got things in the process. But when we did that post, you know, what's funny is I almost didn't even do that post. It always works like this. It's like I was like, this isn't gonna, you know, it's like a photo with some text on it. I was like, I wasn't even gonna post it. I think it was like 6 o'clock at night. It was also not even a good time to post on social media. Yeah, so I posted it. And dude, I think it's got like 500,000 impressions, you know, so it just went crazy. It's got like 500 comments. I think like tons of people shared it, a couple thousand people shared it. But yeah, man, it's, you know, we had a lot of mixed reviews, mixed feedback. So, and it's funny because people will argue with each other in the comment section. You know, there'll be like some people who say, you know, oh, this is a ripoff. Why would you waste your money on this? And then there's other people who reply and be like, well, if you can't afford it, that, you know, just because you can't afford it doesn't mean other people can't. It's also true. You know, like a lot of our clientele, like some of my clients, they're very wealthy, and to them, the price that something like that costs is not even a concern to them. They care more about the convenience, getting it all done in one shot, not having to feel the pain, and saving themselves the time of having to fly back and forth, or having to go in the shop and sit for 7, 8, 9, 10 hours for multiple days. Like you're talking about 10 sessions for a back tattoo.
Yeah. So I was curious about that. Can you get the whole back piece done in a day?
Yeah. You can get the whole.
You can dig, since there's no pain, you go like deeper, longer.
Well, it's not about going deeper. It's just, we have a team of 5 to 8 different artists depending on what they want, and we all work together on the back. And if you're under sedation for 6 to 8 hours, you can basically, you can handle a lot more pain.
Wow.
So for someone who might be going and getting a back tattoo, they might say, okay, I can only handle 4 or 5. But if you're under sedation, you can do 6 to 8 hours, and you have five artists working on your back. You can get an entire back piece done in one. So
that's insane. I didn't even think about the idea of having multiple artists. I thought you were going to do the whole
no.
piece.
Oh, that'd be crazy, because it still takes, for one artist, it's probably still like 25, 30 hours. You have to divide up, but you have to have multiple artists. Yeah. But it's
who
a
gets
lot.
to sign?
I don't. They're not asking for signatures, but it's still a complicated process, because there's a lot that's involved. It's not just as easy as hiring some random doctor to come put someone under. There's so much. It's a real medical procedure. There's a lot involved. Insurance. If you really want to do it right, because we obviously care about the customer as well as the artist and everyone involved. So it's a huge process. But there's also 5 to 8 artists, and then we all have to delegate and figure out who's going to do what. So there's a lot that goes into it, even just the teamwork involved on the artist side to get something like that accomplished, because not one artist is doing the whole piece. So we have to say, okay, who's going to do the hair or the background or this or that, so there's a lot that goes into it. But on the post on social media, that there was a lot of people, some people were for it, some people were against it. I did have some tattooers, actually, now that I think about it, send me DMs, they were saying like, this is a disgrace to the industry, and all this stuff. But you can't be, my mentality ever since I started tattooing and moved to LA, ever since I started with the social media years and years ago, has always been progressive and being the forefront and being cutting edge. So it's like, if you're not going to be ahead of the curve and doing things that are innovative, you're just going to be left behind, and that's not an advantage to anybody. So to have this kind of mentality to say like, oh, you shouldn't do this, it's not good for the industry. Why?
Well, on that note, tell me about AI, because I bet that is going to get a lot of disruption in the next 12 months to 2 years. Everything is about to change now that you can just run through AI and get me 10 different versions of the design. Yeah, so
that's actually a really interesting topic, and it's actually a very controversial topic too, so I'm glad you brought it up. I think that tattooers have this very prehistoric and very old school mentality, because when tattooing started, you had to get it. Now not as much, but when I started tattooing, you had to get an apprenticeship to get into the tattoo shop.
And it's still like that.
It's still like that in many places, right? Yeah. Nowadays, because of YouTube and TikTok, people just buy a kit, teach themselves, and tattoo out of their living room or try to get a little private studio or something. So, but a lot of shops still do that, and that's how I learned. I had to work really hard. It was a very old school apprenticeship. They, may try to make me do embarrassing stuff, wear weird costumes and do stupid stuff to see if I was going to give up. And, the old school apprenticeships, they would try to push you to see if you would give up, because they wanted you to earn it. It was all about earning your place. It was a very Renaissance-y, it was about an internship almost. You had to really work for it, old school, what do they call the welders and all that stuff, a butcher, a trade. Yeah, you had to earn it. So that's the kind of apprenticeship that I had, was this old school style, and a lot of people are like that, and the mentality is like that. So with that, the AI, a lot of them are scared of change. A lot of tattooers, their mentality is they don't want change. They like things old school, old fashioned. They like things done the way that they used to do it. A lot of the technology in tattooing progresses very slow. The machines, we're just getting wireless a few years ago, and man, they've had drones and all stuff has been wireless for a long time. The tattoo industry has been very slow to progress. The technology for the equipment, the inks, a lot of the companies are still the same. So the entire industry is just very old school. So when AI came around, was last year, I think, right? I've noted, I saw a lot of pushback from the tattoo industry. They worry that the AI is going to take their job, and it's we need to fight this. We need to fight the AI because they're coming to steal our jobs, and they're copying us, and it's a cheap way, all this stuff. But it's actually it's all about your perspective, because just like anything else, just like, cell phones and computers and the internet, it's all just a tool. It all depends on how you want to use it. So for AI, it can actually be very, very valuable. A lot of people, we're really far from AI and robots and stuff like completely taking our job. I mean, I don't think for an AI or a robot to do a tattoo, I really don't see it being any less than like 30 years.
Well, but now, at least for the design process, you can go mid-journey,
right?
And with the prompt, you can say, "I want a Harry Potter inspired
right.
fight in a city," and it will give you like 5 options.
Exactly. So it's a tool, and some artists are using it. I see some artists using it, but it's like, bro, but it's also kind of funny because they'll fight AI and they'll say like AI is trying to take away from the tattoo industry, but tattooers will go on Google and all take the same image from the first 1 or 2 pages of Google, and you'll see the same reference photo being used for 300 tattoos. Like, how many Indian headdress girls are you going to see that is the same one for 300 different tattoos? How many lions are they going to use the same lion, the same angel, the same statues? They're using the same because they're lazy. They're only going on the first 1 or 2 pages of Google, and they're okay with that. But you mean you're not going to be okay with AI who's generating you a custom one-of-a-kind image using traits from thousands of different photos? So so for me, I'm embracing it. I've always been into tech, and I've always been into being in video games and all that stuff. I've just always been into tech and all that stuff. So at first it kind of took me a second to figure out how this whole AI thing was going to play, but once I started figuring out it's a tool and you can use it, I was like, okay. So I had an idea, let's create an app. So we're making an app. I think we're probably about 6 months away, maybe. We're still in the early stages, but I'm creating an app that utilizes AI that's going to basically revolutionize the entire tattoo industry, and it's going to be a tool. It's a tool, so it's going to be there to help tattooers, not take their job away from them. So I'm really, really excited. We're working on it every single day, and I'm really stoked for it to come out. I don't want to say too much, but it's going to be really, really dope. Yeah, we're working on a lot of really good stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me know about that. I hadn't even thought about AI going into tattoos, and especially the thing with the anesthesia. I hadn't thought about that at all. So like, I can see you're pushing things and you're in the edge of things. So what do you think is going to be like the next 2 to 3 years for Romeo? Like, where do you see yourself going?
Well, so for one, the California dream is, it's going to have a massive explosion within the next couple of years. We're literally on the brink of just exploding. We've been doing a lot of groundwork the last couple of years. I don't want to say in the shadows, but just more like behind the scenes. We've just been laying a lot of the foundation and just kind of working on a lot of stuff on the back end. And I think with this new opening of the California Dream in Los Angeles, it's going to be our flagship location. That's going to be massive. We're going to have we're going to have a tattoo removal and a couple other things that are going to be a little bit different than most tattoo shops. And then we're also, like I said, also kind of just in those other cities as well. So we're going to just expand the location into other cities. And then while we're doing that, it's just pushing on other things as well. So like, the anesthesia tattoos will be a big focus. We're working on the app, and yeah, I have some other stuff like the video game project that I'm kind of waiting to kind of tease and stuff once we're a little bit closer. But that's obviously a longer and a much, it's a much bigger project. So there's a lot of building on that. But yeah, man. So that's just really the big focus is just for me is just taking over. Is just kind of what can we do to just build the brand, blow it up, and just take over the market. For me, I tell people. My goals have changed a lot the last couple of years. I built most of my career on Romeo Lacoste being the celebrity tattoo artist. And I feel like I accomplished everything that I wanted to accomplish. I've been on the cover of magazines. I've been on TV. I've tattooed, countless numbers of thousands of celebrities, some of the biggest celebrities in the world, Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, Kendrick Lamar. I've done almost everything, millions of followers. And then you get to a point, and your rates are higher, you're booked out, but it's like, what more can I do as a celebrity tattoo artist, as an independent, as an artist? And for me now, it's not only about leaving a legacy with the California Dream and the tattoo brand, but also inspiring other artists too. Like one of the biggest focus that I have right now is who's going to be the next batch of celebrity tattoo artists. And one thing that I'm really talented at, and I feel like is one of my, one of my specialties, is finding hidden talent, finding artists that I can look at their Instagram and just like that, I can tell if they're going to be a superstar tattoo artist. Like I can just look and say, okay, they're literally so close. They're just missing a few little things, and we'll bring them into the California Dream. I'll help them out. I'll kind of teach them a few things about whether it's photo taking, editing their photos, whether it's changing a few things with their style, branding. So I take all the knowledge and all the information and all the experience that I have with building my own brand, my Romeo Lacoste, millions of followers, all that. And I'm teaching all the artists of the California Dream, and I'm helping them and I'm mentoring them and I'm showing them the way, so that the artists at our shop are being built into the next batch of celebrity tattoo artists. And a lot of them are already there. They're tattooing celebrities. They're doing, the growth is just like crazy. We're seeing them grow in 6 months, like night and day. They're just blooming. And I think that's another thing too, that the California Dream is different from other shops. Is like there's not many shops where you can go join a shop and the environment is so healthy and the atmosphere is so healthy, and we just really give them the tools and the resources to grow and be the best artists that they can be. And I'm so proud of that. And that's like one of the things that I'm, really focusing on the next few years too. Aside from just the brand being bigger, it's like I want to help the artists too. I want to take artists that just need a little guidance and just give them that push, and set them up so they have a blooming career too.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I love California Dreaming. That sounds like a TV show.
It might be.
It
Needs to be, right?
That's how I feel. So, man, thank you so much, Romeo, for coming on the show. Like, I love your energy. I love your excitement. And I love that you're willing to push, but also you want to bring people with you along for the journey. So I'm super excited about everything that you're making, man. And
bro, thank you so much for having me, man. This has been awesome. This has been
Man.
great. I appreciate you so much, man.
Welcome,
and the
bro.
view is awesome. This has just been like a blast. So
for sure.
yeah, anytime you want to have me on, I appreciate it. Thank you.
For sure.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for checking out this episode. If you like this interview, check out this other interview with my buddy Ross Abbott. We cover tattoo, business, and the artistic career in general. See you on the next one.